I'm gonna tweet it out.
Stop. This man is flying too close to the sun.
I'm sorry, Maddie. I know this is doing more harm than good, but I can't stop laughing.
Stop laughing. You can't fuel him.
I know. Oh, God.
Pain.
It took Matt Hamilton 3 minutes to figure one of my jokes out, but once it landed,
Great joke.
it came at the best timing. The Chiefs coaching carousel, the playoff preview, and we're gonna let Maddie do trivia. Oh no!
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our tremendous partners in possible here at KC Sports Network. Wednesdays are Matter Days here. I'm Matt Swanson here with Maddie Lane and a very tearful, joyful Matt Hamilton. Hamilton, how we doing, buddy?
Good. I'm excited for today. It's gonna be a little different. I like trivia and I love a bonanza. So just staring at that rundown on the right hand side. I'm ready to get to number 4 already.
Matt Lane, are we gonna see the return of Youthful Regis?
Well, define the return of. Is Youthful Regis in the building? Yes. Does he have his glasses that he normally rocks? No. So do with that information what you will.
So, Hamilton, just so you know, Maddie's been doing random trivia game shows.
Certainly
He's got there's an alter ego named Youthful Regis. He wears these glasses. The glasses, you can see the reflection of his ring light in them.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes the allure all that much better. But I have not won a game show yet from Youthful Regis in my 7 years of doing games with them. So
You're bad
I will tell you, I like your chances, Hamilton. Let's just say
I have a feeling you have some hard questions too, knowing Maddie. So
for sure. These are the hardest questions. Sometimes they involve math. Sometimes they involve spelling.
I'm fried today, so this is not going to be a good one for me either.
We let Maddie cook one time, the first time he ever tried this, and it involved doing a significant amount of head math. It was just absurd, and
I overestimated my contestants. Okay, I thought they were at a higher tier than they were. One of my 2 contestants did great. One didn't. I will leave the rest up to your judgment on who those contestants were.
I think we can make a pretty good guess. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Craig know you said that.
Sure,
just saying, he's one of the contestants. Wasn't just
great.
one. He did do well in those games. He did do well in those games. Anyways, thanks everyone for hanging out with us today. We appreciate you. We don't have a game today. I'm good. I'm finally gonna get out of the house tomorrow. I've been cooped up for like 5 days. Went out and shoveled my driveway. That was pretty intense. Got my one workout of 2025 in. So I was pretty hyped about that. But yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to get this thing going. I'm excited to talk to you fine gentlemen and do it a little differently than we normally have because we don't have a game to preview. So we should have just done another draft show is really what we should have done and just got Hamilton's early draft takes. But we'll forego those for Maddie Lane's trivia bonanza. I can't wait.
It's gonna be so good.
I will say I do look forward to seeing what you pull out of your hat.
You know what else happened today? Since you did it, you usually ask me how I'm doing, and you did it today, and that saddens me because I did have a different answer than normal. So, hey, I'll ask myself, hey, Maddie, how are you doing today? Not great. I think I broke my toe working out today. That wasn't fun. So that was not a good time. So I have kids that like to stand on my feet. Not a great time when you think, when you probably have broken your toe. So, thanks for asking, Kent. I am doing not great. My toe is probably broken. I may or may not have gently dropped my deadlift onto my foot and broke my little toe. So that's unfortunate.
I think you're just flexing at about how much you deadlift is what I think that was.
I didn't put a single number on there. I'm just saying that I dropped it on my toe and I'm pretty sure it's broken.
Well, I'm sorry, Maddie. I
Thank you, Hamilton. Thank you for caring. Kit doesn't. Sorry, Matt Swanson doesn't. But
I do think because
he's Maddie, still flying high off that joke. That's all.
No, here's the thing. Maddie is like the most like, you know, he's not a big sharer, right? He doesn't share his feelings. He doesn't share his, you know, exactly. He does, you know, of all of, you know, he's like not a big sharer. So the fact that he actually had something to share with us is the one time I don't ask him how he's doing. I'm just like, you know, I want to see how Hamilton's doing today. I find that objectively hilarious, especially considering he brought the whole conversation back as like, you know what? I want to tell you guys something. I'm going to go out of my way to share something.
That's right.
And then you just blow right past. You just make fun of him.
Offer condolences. I might have to get amputated. He doesn't even know because he hasn't asked. It's ridiculous.
I will say, dropping, you know, hurting yourself and breaking something while lifting weights is a very old person thing to do. And there is a good chance that this whole I'm young and I'm still 29 thing, the bit might be dead. That might have killed it. So
I'll tell you what, why don't you recognize a bunch of different age people and we will drop the same amount of weight on their little toe and see how many toes break and how many don't. We'll test the age out of this right now.
I think it's just the fact that you did it. It's not that, you know, you couldn't withstand the weight of it. I think it's the fact that you just did it. So I think I would like to congratulate you on reaching your 30s finally. It's only been 5 years. So congratulations on that. So, okay, let's get into this show. I'm very much looking. Let's just burn through these three things so we can get to Maddie's game. Is really what I'm anticipating.
Not my game.
The Chiefs have been largely unscathed when it comes to coaching hires, when it comes to losing personnel people over the last, you know, few years, right? The core of this team has been intact when it comes to coaching staff and when it comes to their front office. Sans Ryan Poles and Matt Nagy, I think, left after the first Super Bowl, but actually, no, I don't think he was even here for the first Super Bowl. Now that I think about it, yeah. So this team has really done a good job withstanding losses on their coaching staff, but this cycle. There's more buzz. There's more heat on both the personnel and the coaching side. Matt Nagy is having requests for interviews with the New York Jets. Actually completed an interview with the New York Jets today. I believe the New Orleans Saints are interested in him. Steve Spagnuolo will be interviewing with the New York Jets as well as potentially the Las Vegas Raiders. And on the personnel side, Mike Borgonzi will be he's a hot name right now. He's like one of the hottest names in the GM space. I think the Saints have called, if I remember correctly. I think he's going to have multiple set up when it's all said and done. I will ask Hamilton. Hamilton, which one of those guys are you most worried about the Chiefs losing?
I think it has to be Spags. As he said, I mean, we saw Nagy leave and the Chiefs are fine and won a bunch of Super Bowls without him. But Spags is a tough guy to replace. I'm curious how much he wants a head coaching job at this stage of his career. He's kind of gone through that. He went to a bad situation. You know, both of the teams that have reached out, I think we can call bad situations right now. So it's not like he's going to walk in somewhere tailor-made. It's going to be something similar to what he went through in St. Louis, where he's going to have to try to build something from scratch. I don't know. At this stage, I mean, you're going to go down as one of the greatest coordinators, if not the greatest coordinator of all time. How strong is that desire for him to be a head coach again? Does he have that chip on his shoulder? Like, hey, it was the Rams. It was that situation. I know I can be a head coach. I want to go prove it. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's going to be a tough one to withstand. It is interesting. The Raiders, you know, we're hearing Tom Brady's heavily involved in the search. Of course, he reaches out for permission to the one guy who kicked his ass a bunch of times. So I thought that was an interesting layer to this whole thing. But yeah, I think that's the one that would affect this team the most.
For sure. I think Borgonzi in the front office, I think that would matter a little bit. But the Chiefs front office depth, like in terms of guys, is something you don't talk about a lot. But when you talk to people around the league that do rub shoulders with the suits guys, it seems like the Chiefs front office is kind of loaded with guys. And so, like, yeah, if they lose somebody, it might matter for a year or two and stuff that you don't ever see, but it feels like they have enough people that they feel very confident can backfill into that spot from within. That seems like a very well-run organization from up in the office. So I think he's good. He'd be a good hire for somebody, and he matters a little bit, but I don't know if the Chiefs would feel the impact. Whereas with Spags, they obviously would feel that impact, especially if Spags happens to get to bring, I don't know, Dave Merritt with him because they've been coaching together for a long time now, right? Like if Spags gets a head coaching job and Merritt wants to go be that defensive coordinator, like, is he going to say no? That would be quite the loss. If I'm not mistaken, Andy, when guys leave to become head coaches, he usually kind of, not that they can't do it, but it's usually kind of like agreed upon. They can take one coach with them, or like, that's what the handshake deal is, right? And so if they lose, maybe Dave Merritt to go along with Spags, that would be brutal. The Nagy thing, I mean, come on, we've been there, we've done that. Doug Peterson's back on the market. We're regressing, but also going forward at the same time. You know what I mean? So, we'll see. With the Nagy thing, I would be surprised if he got a job. Spags for the Jets kind of makes sense to me. Gets to go back home, back to the New York area. He can handle that media. He's obviously from there. He would get along with things there very well. You look at who the Jets have hired to be their search firm for their new coaches. It seems like a who's who of the good old boys club. And it feels like those guys would love a Steve Spagnuolo who's been around for a long time. It feels like the people searching for a new head coach for New York would love a long-time veteran head coach. And then you look at it from this perspective, I think Rodgers is coming back for one more year. That means the offense is Aaron Rodgers, right? That means the offense belongs to him.
Spags.
Yeah, I don't know that if that is the case, it makes it, somewhat more intriguing from Spag's standpoint. The one to me, but again, I just think he has to be discerning at this stage because this is going to be his last shot. So again, we know he wants that coach, but he's got to pick the right place. The one to me that hasn't requested him yet that I think he'd have a hard time saying no to would be going to New England because he's from the Massachusetts area originally. And there you have the young quarterback in play. There are some building blocks. You have the cap space. You have the draft capital. Like everything's kind of laid out there for a quicker turnaround versus
That's true.
The Raiders who are just a complete mess, and the Jets who might even be more.
New England's just doing a dog and pony show, though, right? They're hiring Vrabel, right? We're all pretty sure they're hiring Mike Vrabel, which is also a very good hire.
I would think so.
Like, I would be very clear. I think that's a good hire too. But yeah, that's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah,
I find it at least a little bit interesting that Spags has not gotten any younger, yet Spags is finally. Yeah, unlike you, Maddie. I just find it interesting that Spags hasn't gotten any younger, but he has. Let me finish my comment. But now he's getting opportunities. I find that interesting. Like I don't know what to put to that, and maybe it's just finally like, well, I mean, this dude does not stop putting together great defenses. He's been a part of multiple rings back to back. That maybe at some point, like the defenses had to take a heavier load over the last few years. It's just fine. I think it's interesting that he's just older, but now he's starting to get his flowers a little bit more when it comes to these coaching searches, because he really hasn't been involved seriously at all. I don't think since he's been the defensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. And when you look on the Nagy side of it, everything ended so unceremoniously in Chicago, but I'm just wondering if a little bit of time away from that Chicago, and seeing the epic failures of that organization over the last few years without Nagy, a guy that had a winning record in Chicago, a guy that won the AP Coach of the Year with Mitchell Trubisky as his quarterback and led that team to the playoffs, and I think went to the playoffs twice or at least had a winning record. I wonder if maybe just the legacy of Matt Nagy is being looked upon a little bit differently now that a little bit of time has settled, because I wouldn't say the proof is in what he's done as an offensive coordinator necessarily, or what this offense has looked like since he's been here. And let's be honest, it's Andy's offense. Everyone knows it now, but we've seen Matt Nagy have success outside of, this kind of, in a real environment. We've had, as the leader of an organization, and the results were better than maybe he's getting a little bit of credit for, considering the circumstances. So
that's a great point. And yeah, I mean, looking back on it now, and what a mess that Bears organization has been, to have the success that he had there. And it was 2 playoff appearances. Remember, there was the Mitchell Trubisky MVP game, famously was the second one. But yeah, he accomplished a lot with that organization. And I don't mean to disrespect him necessarily by saying they won't miss him as much, but as he said, it's Andy's offense. So I think from that standpoint, but he is, he had a good tenure there. The way it ended was rough. But again, seeing what has happened for the Bears since, we saw what had happened to the Bears prior to him as well. So he's been the most successful coach there, since Lovey left. So there's something to be said for that.
Real quick before we move on, let's say both guys go. Let's say Steve Spagnuolo gets a job, Matt Nagy gets a job. Who is next year's Chiefs offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator?
I think it's Dave Merritt as the defensive coordinator. I think it's Doug Peterson as offensive coordinator. And I know there's some stuff. I think Doug Peterson's coming back. I think he comes back in this case.
So that means Carson Wentz will no longer be the backup.
Well, based on what I saw, please.
You got any thoughts, Hamilton?
Yeah, no, I think those are great choices. Doug and Andy obviously go way back, so I think that's a really natural fit there. No, I do think those make the most sense.
Yeah, I think I agree with Doug Peterson. I think Joe Cullen is my defensive coordinator just because he has the experience of doing it, whereas Dave Merritt, I don't believe, had been like an NFL DC yet. But I couldn't go wrong with either one. And honestly, you probably lose one or the other. Like there's a chance you would lose one or the other. I don't know how connected. Like I don't know who Spags would choose as his DC to go as his head coach. Right? I don't know if it's not Merritt, if it would for sure be Cullen. It's not like they have the same level of history. But I have seen Joe Cullen be a good defensive coordinator in the NFL. So I might lean that direction if they have to replace him right away.
I think I'd be more worried about Merritt leaving if he doesn't get the job than
for sure.
Leaving. And so that's why I lean Merritt. Because, hey, look, Merritt interviewed for the defensive coordinator job for the San Francisco 49ers this time last year. He got that opportunity. I think I'd go Merritt and hope Joe Cullen stays. Joe Cullen's already been through this as a DC, so I don't know if he's going to be able to get a opportunity as a defensive coordinator elsewhere. And so as long as he's under contract, I think the Chiefs can kind of control if it's a lateral move or not. So I think you have a better chance of retaining both if Merritt's your DC personally.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, we should end the show on that. Hamilton just said I had a good point, but we're going to take a break and we're going to preview the AFC wildcard games right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Hey, everybody, guess what? We're about a week and a half away from the Chiefs playing in a divisional round game, and KC Sports Network is hosting a party out at Holiday Distillery for you all to come hang out and enjoy a good time watching that divisional round game out at the gorgeous event center at Holiday Distillery. It's this beautiful area out there. It's hilly. It's a gorgeous event space with a rustic vibe and all kinds of, it's gorgeous out there. There's great drinks. There's great food. The game will be on many televisions. A bunch of people from KC Sports Network will be out there. You can sign up in the link in the description of this show. Make sure you sign up. And I'll tell you what, if you're looking to just, bring some friends together and go hang out, do that. Grab a few friends and just come out and hang out at Holiday Distillery. It's an incredible time. You're going to have a great time. We've done it several times. I think we've done it every divisional round for the last few years. So, go take advantage of that. Again, you can go sign up in the link of this show. Okay, so there's a lot of football games that the Kansas City Chiefs are not a part of this weekend. Some would argue the Kansas City Chiefs weren't a part of the games this weekend. Hey, real quick, Hamilton, what were your thoughts on the 38-0 shellacking of the Kansas City Chiefs by the Denver Broncos?
I skipped this for a reason. Like, there's no need.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything you can really take away from that. With all the guys that didn't play, I think you gotta tip your cap to Denver because there could have been some nerves creeping. You lose back-to-back games heading into a game you have to win. We saw a lot of weird things happen in Week 18. The Falcons and the Bucs having their issues at the same, and they came out and just left no doubt. And Bo played nearly a perfect game. So I think you got to give a lot of credit to the Broncos. They take absolutely nothing away from that from a Chiefs perspective.
Yeah, Bo Nix did a great job throwing in the flats against soft cover too. I tell you what, I'm so hating. The Chiefs I know the Chiefs did they showed they were the most vanilla that they have ever been. I'm pretty sure at one point they just flipped the formation and ran the exact same play back to back at one point. And Ethan Driscoll was running routes. The backup tackle was running routes.
Out though,
it was sick, man. They had Carson. He fumbled the bag. He had to throw that ball to him. That would have just changed the entire vibes of everything if he had caught a pass out there. But
can we be nice for this somebody for a while?
I
say the Broncos did a nice job.
They did a fantastic job, and fans finally caught on that the Chiefs and the NFL are working in cahoots to make sure the teams they're afraid of don't make the playoffs. It just took everybody 6 years to figure it out.
Yep.
It's been strategically doing it for the entirety of the run. In fact, if you're not doing it, that's why you're not winning. Okay, so basically the entire AFC slate kicks off the playoffs this upcoming weekend, and then you go basically to the NFC. So the first 3 games are all AFC games. We're hoping that game is on us. That means the divisional round for the Chiefs is going to be on a Saturday. We'll just go down the list. Chiefs or the Chargers and the Texans play 3:30. On Saturday. This seems to be the one that has the most implications for the Chiefs when it comes to their playoff outlook. It seems very likely that the winner of this game is probably going to be going to Arrowhead in the divisional round. We'll just kind of talk through these games. I want to go Hamilton to you. Hamilton, who do you think wins this game between the Chargers and Texans, and why do you think that's the case?
I think the Chargers win it. The Texans have just been kind of sloppy here down the stretch. The offensive line has been a complete disaster. The secondary's gotten banged up. It's forced them to kind of change their approach and do some things they don't want to do. They're still really good up front. But losing Jalen Petrie has really affected, I think, the way that they play. It sounds like, from what I've been seeing, there's a good chance we see Stingley shadowing Ladd McConkey, which is interesting, because that's going to probably have him in the slot a decent amount. I wonder if this is the opportunity for a big Quentin Johnston game following his monster performance last week against the Raiders, because Stingley is really, really good. We'll still see Ladd win some of those matchups, I'm sure. But I just think with the way that the Chargers are playing right now, it's 2 teams kind of heading in opposite directions. And I do think the Chargers get this one done. And you can see, they wanted it badly. They wanted to get this matchup badly. They went for it against the Raiders. They played everybody all the way, till the clock hit 0 in that game against the Raiders. They wanted this one, to draw this matchup instead of having to go to Baltimore.
Yeah, it's one. Kudos to the Chargers. I think we kind of said we did our season previews leading up to this year that I liked the direction they were going. It was clear they had a direction they were going to it, but it felt like they were still going to be a year or 2 away. And that I had faith that Harbaugh was going to get them there. I did not think it would be this year though. And they got them probably playing some of their best football now down the stretch going into the playoffs. So the Chargers, understandably are a 3-point favorite on the road here. I'm going to take the Texans. I'm going to push against it. I think there's been too much of the narrative that the Chargers are a better team, that the Texans are dead in the water. And maybe this is like college football brain, where it does seem like teams do a better job of using the "you're done, you can't keep playing this way" for those college age kids, young men, more so than professional athletes. But I feel like there's been too much negative Texans talk for a team that does still have talent. They do still have CJ Stroud, who is a very good football player, even if having a down year, and Nico Collins, who is sometimes the best wide receiver, on the field at any given time. Yeah. So I just think there's enough talent for the Texans, the way they have been essentially dismissed for the past month of the season, that they might come out at home with a little bit of a chip and be able to get enough distance in this one that their defense can kind of sit on it and hold the Chargers away from being able to put up enough points. So give me the Texans. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers win at all. This is kind of like just a gut vibes feeling of the Texans are probably tired of hearing it by now.
I'm going to go Texans too.
Whoa.
And so I think it's a little bit vibey gut check, but it's also like the Chargers had an early bye week, and so they've had to play through a really, they've had to play a long time without a real break, and they had to play in week 18. The Texans did not play very many starters or play much in week 18, a very limited sample size of playing time for some of the Texans starters in this game. CJ Stroud was out after the first possession. I think they just wanted to get him going a little bit and all that kind of stuff. So you've got, I think, a little bit of a rest edge when you're looking at Houston versus the Chargers. I think we look too hard at a very difficult and emotional stretch for the Texans too, down the home stretch where they're playing in that 3 games in 11 days like the Chiefs and like the Ravens were, and they got bopped. They got beat good. In the middle of that, we have the Tank Dell incident with, in the corner of that end zone. So they kind of are flat for a stretch after that. They go out and they beat the Texans without the Titans in week 18 without some of their starters. And, I think the pendulum swung too far on the Texans. I still think that, this is a team that beat the Bills. This is a team that lost to the Detroit Lions by 3 earlier in the season. I do think it swung too far. I think this is a team with a great pass rush. And I mean, the Chargers' only playoff victories over teams in the playoffs on the AFC side were the Denver Broncos. And that's it. Yep. So I just think
they lost the game where Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions.
Yeah. The Chargers deserve a ton of credit. And the reason that they're ahead of schedule is because they just flat out beat every team that they should have this year. And they really didn't make a ton of mistakes when it came to some of those games. Like they took care of business. Give me the Texans though in this game. I just feel like I think the pendulum swung a little bit too far in this game. So that's my take there. All right, so we're looking at the next game for the playoff schedule, and that's also a Saturday game. It's a divisional rival, Steelers-Ravens. Ravens are heavy favorites right now. They're 9.5-point favorites in some books. Like, they're heavy favorites. What do you think about this game? Like, do you think this game's going to be closer than that? Or do you think the Ravens are blowing out the Steelers? Or do you think the Steelers even have a chance to win Hamilton?
I think it will be closer than that because these games kind of always are. Tomlin always does a great job with the Ravens. They've kind of had their number up until that last meeting. But I do think ultimately the Ravens have a little bit too much for them. You want to talk about teams headed in the wrong direction. I mean, the Steelers have looked completely lost over the last month of this season. They have played some tough competition, but again, that's part of it. I don't think, they were another one. They're kind of taking care of business against everybody that they should have. And when the competition is leveled up, they've had a rough time with it. But I think Baltimore, again, when you look at teams that are kind of peaking at the right time, that defense has done as big a 180 as I've seen from a defense midseason.
They've surrendered under 11 points per game in their last 4 games.
It's ridiculous. Since week 11, they were like through the first 10 weeks of the season, they were bottom 5 in pretty much every category. They're not just top 3 in every major category right now. Since week 11, they are number 1. Pass defense, scoring defense, total defense, red zone D, third down D, everything. They've been number 1. And again, there have been a couple of games against some worse competition in there. The Giants are in there.
Giants, Steelers, and Browns.
Yeah. But again, I mean, do you see what they did to your precious Texans too?
Christmas Day game, man.
Yeah.
They handled that horribly. That's all.
But there has been a lot of improvement there too, just since they've reshuffled that secondary. Nate Wiggins has been awesome. I really like what they're doing defensively, and it hasn't gotten talked about as much because of the whole Lamar MVP debate, all of that. But I think we see a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. I think that defense plays really well, and I do think the Ravens ultimately get the job done. But it's not going to be easy. The familiarity there, it matters, especially with the way that Tomlin, has kind of had their number.
I won't waste a lot of time with this. The Steelers have lost their last 4 games. The 3 playoff teams they've played hasn't been close. The one game that was close was the team that didn't make the playoffs. The Fraudgles. That was the one they lost that was close. But when they play good teams, they're getting beat comfortably right now. I don't see that flipping going into the playoffs here. Can I see for the first half it being close in the dogfight because, familiarity? Tomlin does seem to coach really well against the Ravens, in particular against Lamar Jackson. And, Tomlin, as a heavy dog like this, usually performs very well, but I just don't think the Steelers team is all that good. And I think that kind of came to fruition down the stretch. So I think the Ravens ultimately end up winning comfortably. What we've seen this with the Ravens, they'll be in close games mid-third quarter, and then they'll end up winning in essentially a blowout. That might be how this game goes too. They might win by 3 scores, but coming out of halftime, you're like, oh, this is something I have to tune in and kind of lock in on. But by the end of the game, I don't expect it to be close.
That's kind of how the last matchup went a couple weeks ago. Yeah, the Steelers hung around in a game they really probably had no business hanging around in, and then at the end, the Marlon Humphrey pick 6 and all that.
The Steelers really shot themselves in the foot in that game. Like they gave up essentially a touchdown down in the, like they fumbled in the deep red. And I mean, if they avoid some of those mistakes and, you get a. Are
they capable of it? I mean, legitimate question. Are they capable of avoiding mistakes? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
it's probably not. I think this game's close. I think it's ugly. I think it's a slugfest. I don't think the Ravens are winning this one pretty. I still think the Ravens win it, though. Okay, so Sunday's the only AFC game. The only AFC game on Sunday, I should say, is Bills-Broncos. It's the noon slate of the playoff weekend, wildcard weekend. Bills are favored anywhere between 8-9 points right now, so another heavy favorite in the playoffs. Same question: do you think that the Broncos can give the Bills a game, Hamilton?
I do. Over the last 7 weeks, you look at the Broncos and the Bills have scored the exact same amount of points, which is a weird thing, but it's true. And I think when you look, Vance Joseph and Sean Payton have kind of weirdly had Josh Allen's number a little bit. He's 0-2 in his last 2 games against Vance Joseph defenses. There's a lot of familiarity too between Sean Payton and Sean McDermott from their NFC South days. And they don't particularly love each other from what I've heard. But yeah, I think, I think the way the Broncos have been playing here down the stretch, I think this is a closer game than I think a lot of people would expect on the face of it. I still do think the Bills win, but I think the Broncos give them a little something of a game here.
I'm with you on this one. I think it ends up being pretty close. I don't know if the Broncos are going to have enough juice to be able to pull it off, but I do think it's going to be close. I was looking, the Broncos didn't lose any game this year by more than 1 score besides they got blown out by the Ravens earlier in the year, but that was the only game they lost by more than 1 score. That defense is legit. I think a lot of people I saw, because, being Chiefs fans, we were watching the Chiefs game with other Chiefs fans, and people like, hey, why do the Broncos still have their starters in so late when the Chiefs clearly don't care? It's like, well, I think when you're the Broncos at this point, it mattered more to just continue to ride the high vibes. It mattered more just to make sure you were in rhythm than to buy yourself an extra, quarter of rest. You can't bank that quarter of rest. You don't anticipate probably making a full-on Super Bowl run unless you play at 110% every game. And to do that, you probably just need to be in rhythm. So I thought they did a good job managing their final game against the Chiefs and making sure that they were clicking on defense, offense, run game, pass game. Like, they're hitting the playoffs perfectly in stride of where they want to be. Can they carry that over to against the Bills? We'll see. The Bills defense, you can have a lot of success against them. The Broncos defense is very good. If they can slow them down, I can see this one being a very tight game down the stretch. I just don't know if I'm willing to take Bo Nix in crunch time versus Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
So, yeah, that happened. Muted again.
Pig was caged.
I tweeted it out, Hamilton. By the way.
Oh no.
Just so you know. Yeah, I have a hard time. I have a hard time picking Bo Nix against Josh Allen, but like Broncos put the Chiefs on the brink. It took a blocked field goal to beat the Broncos one of these games here recently, and I think if the Broncos can make this game ugly, I don't think the Bills really want to play ugly all that much relative to some of the stuff we've seen. They really like them style points. They really like, running, putting a lot of points on the board, and they're very good and comfortable in those shootouts. And I think they'd rather the game be in the 40s than be in the teens. And I think the Broncos are uniquely capable of mucking things up a little bit, right? And so, if the Bills can't stop the run, things could get a little interesting there at Orchard Park. Ultimately, I just want both the Ravens and the Bills to have to sweat both of these games out, before the divisional round. That's unlike Travis Kelce, I would like the easiest path to the Super Bowl. If I'm being honest,
you've proven enough.
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna take away from a third Super Bowl because you didn't.
Yeah, I said it after the first one. I said it after the first one when they beat the 49ers. Like, I don't need them ever to have a difficult road again. And they went ahead and had like the most difficult road possible on their way to winning one. Yeah. So like we've done it. We've checked that box. We're good. We want all the lowest seeds to win, please.
Yeah. 7-6-5. Go ahead and do your thing. Maybe 7-6-4. I don't know.
They would play 7. They could play 7-6-7. Like, right? Because they only played 2 in the AFC. Theoretically they could go 7-6-7.
Packers are a pretty good 7 seed, aren't they?
I guess.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather play the.
Fine. What are the Bucks? Whatever the Bucks are.
OT again.
Yeah. Let's get the Commanders.
You think that Chiefs are afraid of the Super Bowl overtimes?
I think
we got that weighted coin.
This team has really been through it all in the playoffs, man. Do you guys see Patrick Mahomes is 15-3 with like 6 billion yards passing in his career in the playoffs? It's pretty impressive.
He's 1 win away from being second all time in playoff wins
before he turns 30.
I want to say we had Josh Williams on the show the other day too, and just like looking, imagine starting your career, you're 7-0 in the playoffs. You don't know anything but winning Super Bowls. Like you're in year 3 and you've never ended the season without the confetti and the t-shirts.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
A parade expert at this point in time.
Yeah.
First year was rough.
We joke about, Leo Chanel, he's been through. We joke about the fact that, and it's not even a joke. We just talk about like Mahomes as the starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, nothing less than the AFC Championship game. Yeah. And then the 2022 draft class knows nothing less than winning a Super Bowl.
It's absurd. So ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It really is. NFC time. That doesn't matter all that much for us until,
Let's rip through this and get to this game because I don't know how long this game is about to take.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. Packers, Eagles, who wins? Why? Hamilton, TV time. Let's go.
All right. I think the Eagles win. This Jordan Love elbow thing is a little weird. It sounds like it's still kind of bothering him a little bit. He was really short in his press conference today. Losing Christian Watson hurts. They're not playing their best football right now. That was an embarrassing performance against the Bears. I think the Eagles take care of business. Obviously, Jalen's dealing with his own stuff coming out of concussion protocol, but I think the Eagles take care of this one.
I think they do as well. Jordan Love, the thing about the Packers is Jordan Love is very scary because he doesn't care when he's wrong or when he gets beat by the opposing defense. He's still going to throw the ball the way he wants to throw the ball and where he wants to. Yeah. And against somebody like Spags in this current Chiefs team, that works kind of well because they don't always have the best ball skills on the back end. There's a lot of late rotations where guys are trying to catch up the spot. So even when you win, you're having to make pretty incredible plays to get there, and Love has enough talent to fit the ball in there. Against this Eagles defense, though, the way it's structured, they are welcoming that, right? It's not just the talent that they have, but they are welcoming you trying to fit the ball into tight windows. I think Jordan Love gets them in trouble by attacking like this Fangio style defense here. I think they are going to sit there and wait on that. And then I know the Packers defense has been like number one in the DVOA since, like they come out of their bye week or something like that. I don't think they're going to have a great answer for stopping Saquon Barkley. And as long as Jalen Hurts can come back from the concussion, I feel confident enough the Eagles to put up enough points.
Same. Eagles, moving on. Commanders, Bucks, Hamilton. Who wins and why?
Sure.
These are two weird teams. This is a hard one to predict because you don't know what's going to show up on either side in this game.
Wait, the last time these two teams played, wasn't it Taylor Heineke trying to take out Tom Brady?
Oh, in the playoff, yeah, and it almost happened.
And he got close.
Yeah, that was the Commanders' last playoff appearance, I think, and they were the Washington football team still at that point. But yeah,
which they would have.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I do think again, hard one to predict, but I think the Commanders. I think the Commanders get it done. The Bucs defense has not been good here down the stretch. They've been faltering. I think we see the Commanders put up a lot of points. I think we see both offenses put up some points, but I think the Bucs have a hard time getting the Commanders' offense off the field, and they take care of business.
Yo, shout out Cliff Kingsbury. It looked like we were hitting the second half of the year, Cliff. And Buddy, popped right back up there and started ascending that mountain again because that offense got clicking down the stretch. So Cliff beat the demons when he was over in Thailand. He found something that figured it out for him. So yeah, give me the Commanders as well. I also wish they went back to the Washington football team. That was better. Give me the Commanders. I think that the lack of experience and the overall lack of talent is going to bite them. It'll just be next round. I don't think the Bucs are the team to really take advantage of either of those things.
So you're essentially saying that they're going on the Houston Texans route, where the number 2 overall pick quarterback goes and wins a playoff game in year 1 and then goes and gets the brakes beat off him in the divisional round. That's what you're kind of predicting.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I like it. Give me the Bucs. Moving on. Vikings, Rams. Who wins and why? Hamilton.
I think the Rams take this one. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a little similar to what we saw in the first matchup between these two. But that performance against the Lions on Sunday night scared me with the Vikings because it just seemed like the moment was too big for Sam Darnold. I thought it was the worst game Kevin O'Connell has coached this year. He didn't do a whole lot to help him out. They didn't really adjust to what the Lions were doing with that heavy dose of man coverage and pressure. And it just, I don't think it's going to get any easier against the Rams. I think they're going to be aggressive. I think they're going to come after him. I think they're going to force him to make some throws. And again, you're playing a dangerous game when you do that when Justin Jefferson is out there on the field. But you saw that Darnold missed him a bunch of times. When Jefferson was able to make him pay, Darnold wasn't able to hit him. So I think they stay aggressive, and I think this Rams offense is rolling right now, and they have everybody out there healthy. That was the first game we really saw them healthy all year back in the regular season meeting when Puka and Cooper came back, and it was the Vikings defense had a really hard time with them. So I think the Rams get it done again.
The Rams have been so fun to watch the last half of the season. Like I've absolutely loved watching them, and it's been fun to see them kind of, come back from the dead with as bad as their season started, and now they're just playing good football. I am going to pick the Vikings in this game. I'm going to go to the Vikings. And here's the thing. I think, Sam Darnold was awful in that game. He left enough points to make that game interesting on the field and maybe even win it because the game script flips and changes. I think that was a big moment for him in his kind of developmental arc. And I know that's weird to say about a 27-year-old quarterback, but talk about come back from the dead. That dude has ascended to a level of, that I think a lot of people thought he could when he was coming out of college, and he's playing really good football sans this last week. I think that was a opportunity and a moment for him to get playoff experience, essentially. That game was for the 1 seed. That was a very intense football game. And I think he's going to learn from that. And I think he's going to put a much better performance on the field this week against the Rams, which is why the Vikings are going to win this game. And then the Vikings are going to have a very difficult decision to make, regardless of what happens after that, whether it's Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it time for the game?
Wow. Screw me. Give me also the Rams.
Didn't you already give me the?
No. Give me the Rams in this one because I think the way Flores structures his defense, Stafford's one of the quarterbacks that's kind of beats him, right? The way Flores likes to throw a bunch of blitzes or drop a bunch of guys out and just challenge the quarterback to read it out correctly. Stafford, fantastic against the blitz, always has been, but that he is one of the quarterbacks that can read it out and make all the throws you need. This is one of the games where I don't know if the Vikings defense is going to have the advantage. And I'm not going to lie, that Sam Darnold game last week against the Lions scared the crap out of me because the Lions were playing us 3 at quarter plus Amik Robertson, and they still couldn't get anything done, right? They still couldn't find a way to get the ball to their 2 excellent receivers, plus the other quality role players. And so it's just, that scared me a little bit. So, give me the Rams the way they're playing. I don't think it's a great matchup for them. Now you can continue.
No, you can just transition into this game.
Welcome back once again, one and all, to Youthful Regis here for the Trivia Bonanza. Matt had to take a break. I'm sorry, I don't have an outfit change this time. So, I may look like him, but I'm not him. I am also a Texas fan. Go Bevo! All right, this game is played between Matt Swanson and Matt Hamilton. I will ask you guys a series of 10 questions, alternating who answers.
10?
Correct answer, 1 point. Correct answer, 2 points. I have the discretion to change how many points they are worth. You can steal for 1 point if somebody misses. It's very simple. Matt, the comeback kid Swanson, can go first. Matt, the hammer Hamilton, will go second. Kent, pick a number between 1 and 10 for your question.
Oh boy.
Hurry.
7.
7. The last year that the Kansas City Chiefs field goal percentage was lower than the opponent's was. Does that happen this year?
2024.
Besides this season.
We're going to go 1996.
Incorrect. Hammer, a chance to steal.
2013.
It was 2022, the other year that Harrison Butker was hurt. Come on, y'all. Hammer, pick a number. 7 is off the board.
There's
4.
math involved.
4. Travis Kelce led the Chiefs in targets this season. Do the target amount of Xavier Worthy plus Noah Gray's, is that more or less than Travis Kelce's targets?
I'm going to say more.
2 points for Hamilton.
2?
Comeback kid.
Yes. 2.
-1 for Kent.
For questioning the score.
You are up again. Number 7 and number 4 are off the board.
Let's go number 1. If this isn't a Xavier Worthy question, you missed an opportunity.
I absolutely did not do that for you. This year is the 3rd time in history that a quarterback with 14 or more wins does not make the Pro Bowl. When was the last year this happened?
2013.
Incorrect. Hamilton, chance to steal.
I'm going to say 2017.
Ooh, it was 2003. Tom Brady in 2003 was the last quarterback to win 14 or more games and not make it.
I knew it was going to be Brady. I just didn't know which year. Damn.
It's okay. You are now up for another question.
All right. I'm going to go with number 5.
Number 5. The Chiefs scored 37 touchdowns in 2020, offensive touchdowns in 2023. Did they score more or less in 2024?
I'm going to say more.
2 points for Hamilton. He has a commanding 4 to -1 lead right now. This is your most embarrassing performance yet, kid. Can you pick another number?
2.
This is where he wants to be, though. He's the comeback kid.
So you have a chance for 4 total points on this question. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
How many 14-plus win seasons have occurred in the NFL since 1990? So how many teams have won 14 or more games in the NFL since 1990?
Let's go 20.
Do you want to go a little bit higher?
Since 1990?
Yeah.
No. Sure, 25.
Okay, the answer was 28, so you were getting closer. For a bonus point, though, I'm not going to. This can be stolen if you're incorrect. How many of those have been the Kansas City Chiefs?
2. 3.
Oh, Hamilton, you have a chance to steal.
I'm gonna say 4.
Oh, it was 3. It was right in the middle. Oh man, this is rough.
They've all been
right,
in
Hamilton.
the Mahomes era.
Yes,
right. Yeah, the Chiefs hadn't won, but yeah, Mahomes had. Okay, yeah.
Because Trent,
2003 was
Trent Green was 13-3. Yeah,
13-3, a bunch of 13-3s in the 90s.
These are hard questions, Matt. At least is right.
Yeah, they're very hard.
You're down. -1 for both of you. It is currently 3 to -2. It's a 5-point spread. Hamilton
brutal.
is up to pick between question 3, question 6, 8, 9, or 10.
I'm going to go 3.
3 has a bonus. There's a chance.
Hamilton, can we just go in order the rest of this time? Can we just truce this so it's not confusing? Just get right to 8 after 6. Anyway.
As of December 14th, we talked about this on the podcast. As of December 14th, the Chiefs were 28th in forced turnovers this season. What was their final ranking on the year of forced turnovers on the defense?
I'm going to say 18th.
Ooh, close. It was. Do you want to steal? He got it wrong, actually. I gave you a little bit of a hint. Do you want to steal, Kent? I'm trying to give you a chance to get back in this game.
Yeah. I'd like to steal. 16th.
Cool. Oh, it was 14. Close. All right, Hamilton, this is back to you.
Hey, Hamilton, we only had a 1 in 32 chance.
Yeah.
I mean, like.
Hamilton, this is back to you. How many turnovers did they force over their last 4 games? Kent should have this because I said this on the podcast. I said this on the lab. So if he was listening to me, he has this answer.
Is it 10?
Correct. Big 2 points for Hamilton.
I was actually listening.
5 to -2. All right, Kent, number 6 for you. I'm listening to you. Who led the Chiefs in the average kickoff return yards this year?
Is it Samaje Perine?
Let's go. Kent has made it back to even.
Wow.
And there was a bonus. If you can get within 3 yards, I will give you 2 more points.
32.
Let's go. That's correct.
Let's go.
Crazy comeback. It was 32.6.
Yeah.
Right.
It was. That's right.
All right. The score is 5-2 for the Hammer. He is getting question 8. Who had more interceptions on the year for the Chiefs? And the defensive back room, the quarterback room or the safety room, sorry. Who had more interceptions, the quarterbacks or the safeties for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm going to say the cornerbacks.
Incorrect. Kent, would you like to steal?
I would like to steal.
Okay.
I think it's the safeties.
You'd be incorrect. It was a tie.
Wow.
All right.
You are the worst
because neither had a ton, but yeah.
You are the worst. You know what, Hamilton? The truth is, he probably like. I'm trying to think if any of like the slot defenders had interceptions because he's probably gonna like classify one as a safety or a corner.
Jamari Conner was a corner, and Jaden Hicks was a safety. They were both listed as DBs.
Okay,
so I did that exactly how they were. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
All right, Kit. Okay. This is a bonus. This
You're
is
getting
chance
booed in the comments.
Listen, that's okay. It's not me. This is Youthful Regis. All right.
Alicia Marie is booing Maddie
Lane.
This
is for you, Kent. Who had more sacks, the defensive end room or the defensive tackle room?
Oh, it's the defensive end room, I think.
That is correct by a half a sack.
Wow.
By a
closer than I thought it was.
Sack. But that's 5-4. Here's a chance for a bonus 2 points to take the lead. Who finished second on the Chiefs in sacks this year?
Chris Jones.
Incorrect. Hamilton for a chance to steal for a point.
Tershawn Warren.
That is correct. It is 6-4. This is almost insurmountable. Hamilton, you have a chance here. There's one question left. You got to get it right or can't get the chance to steal.
All right.
There are 2 active quarterbacks who had a season with more game-winning drives than Patrick Mahomes this year, which was 7. Who are the 2 quarterbacks? This is according to Pro Football Reference, so don't come at me, people. Who are the 2 quarterbacks that have a season with more game-winning drives in a single year?
That would be Matthew Stafford and Kirk Cousins.
That would be correct. That is a 2-pointer for 8 to the woods. Kent, if you can get me the years, I will call this a tie game right now, and we'll go to the tiebreaker.
Okay. Kirk Cousins in 2023.
Incorrect.
Can I get the year for one of them and get even bonus one?
Oh, absolutely.
2022 for Kirk Cousins?
Yep.
And was it 2017 for Stafford?
Close. 2016.
2016.
Dang.
What a pull.
Golly.
Score 8-4. This is good we didn't have to go to the tiebreaker because the tiebreaker question was a doozy.
Why don't we just
I know you want to ask it. I can say, just ask it.
This is the first time I'm actively asking Maddie Lane to continue a game.
I don't want to anymore. No, I don't want. Now the game's over. Notebook closed.
Well, at least we have the toe picture in our DMs.
That's right. That was the tiebreaker question. I was going to throw it to Kent for a chance to win, and I was going to hit him with now we're swerving and go to Hamilton instead because Kent loves Jello's song. And then I was going to ask which bone I broke today.
I was going to say which toe did I break? That'd be a great tiebreaker. Great game, Maddie. Really slow at the beginning. I'll give you some notes on that. But
I won't accept them.
Overall, it was not your worst game.
I've never once listened to your notes for my games.
I think you should do more over-under-ish type or moving forward. That would be my suggestion. If you want to
take over a game show, you can as well. Like, it doesn't have to be me every time.
Yeah, it does. Because I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to be here. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later. Ooh, Alicia, the bonus question is how much